guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. Watches and Wonders continues. We're going to be talking about Tag Heuer today. They released some fairly interesting Aquaracers that I want to go over. They really pay tribute to one of their vintage watches, or one of the Heuer vintage watches that they produced in the 1970s. They also have a fairly interesting Carrera that they produced with Porsche, which is a relationship that Tag Heuer has nurtured over many, many years. And so what I'm going to be doing is talking through these watches, giving you my thoughts, so that you're up to date on the watches that this brand has released. I'll say at the beginning of this video, I do not have any of these watches in my possession. So if you are looking for one of those watches, one of those videos where the individual has the watches and they can kind of do an in-depth on that, this is not the video for you. But what I'm going to be doing is talking through the specifications of these watches, the history on how they kind of came about, and give you my thoughts on them. So stick around if you'd like to hear my thoughts on these watches. So like I said, the biggest release from Tag Heuer was basically a new generation of the Aquaracer Professional 300 that they have produced over many, many years now. For 2021, they really did a revamp of this watch and created something a little bit different than what they had been producing previously. And I actually think they did a really wonderful job in designing the case, but also creating something a little bit more modern, which is something that I sometimes criticize brands for doing. The case of this Aquaracer is actually very, very similar to the reference 844. This is a dive watch from the 1970s that really started off the design elements of this piece. And they did a limited edition to pay tribute to that watch, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So, the Tag Heuer Aquaracers that they produced have this kind of octagonal bezel shape, but it's a stainless steel watch, and it comes in various bezel combinations, bezel and dial combinations. So it comes with a blue bezel and blue dial. There is a black bezel and sort of gray dial, a black bezel and a black dial, and then a green bezel and a green dial. Green has obviously been on the top of many people's minds when it comes to the watches that were released during this time period. You know, you have the Patek Philippe Nautilus that came with that olive green dial, and so did this Tag Heuer Aquaracer. Looking at the watch itself, you've got hours, minutes, seconds, hands, and then you actually have this very interesting date complication at 6 o'clock. I found this to be an interesting placement and definitely an interesting iteration off of the reference 844 that this was obviously designed after. I think while some people don't like when there are date complications on the dials of watches that really should be a lot simpler, I actually like it because it gives it a little bit of a different flavor than the original 844 that this obviously is coming from. When you look at the other Aquaracers that have been produced by Tag Heuer, I really like these. I really like the color combinations as well. The watch itself is 43 millimeters in diameter, so it's fairly large. However, they did release a set of three 36 millimeter Aquaracers. These come in a blue dial and a blue bezel with diamond hour indices, applied diamond hour indices. Then it comes with a black bezel and a black dial, and a black bezel and a white dial. I really like the fact that they have these 36 millimeter versions of this Aquaracer. I actually would wear the 36 millimeter for sure. Obviously, I'm a vintage watch guy, so I wear watches that are a little bit smaller and my wrists are not as big, but I actually think these would probably wear very, very nicely, especially for the sportier, kind of chunkier element to it. It's been said, and I haven't held them in my hands, but it's been said that these watches are a little bit thinner, a little bit svelter compared to previous Aquaracers that have been released. And so they obviously have taken some of the feedback that they've gotten and created something a little bit more wearable. All three of those 36 millimeters also come in stainless steel, so you're getting a fairly nice entry-level diver with these pieces. What's really cool about this watch is actually the bracelet. It's not actually very, very common, and it actually has a really nice flexibility to it. Moving on to that limited edition that I wanted to talk about, part of this release is what they did was they released a tribute to the reference 844 in a limited edition Aquaracer. The Aquaracer has a black bezel and a black dial, very similar to the reference 844, with the date at 6 o'clock. The hands obviously don't mimic perfectly what the reference 844 looked like. However, they have this sort of faux patina color to it, as well as the hour indicators, to make it look a little bit more like the tribute to that previous watch. I think it looks stunning. I think it's a really great thing, and it's kind of nice to see Tag Heuer do something in a limited edition when a lot of their pieces are sort of produced in large quantities. The limited edition is in titanium, and it comes in 844 pieces, obviously similar to what the reference is. So you really, the releases for these Aquaracers, there were 4 43mm Aquaracers and then 3 36mm Aquaracers. The watch itself is running off of the Heuer caliber 5 automatic movement, which is based off of the ETA 2824-2. So you're getting a modified 2824 with Tag Heuer's kind of finishing on it. So you're looking at a fairly robust movement and not something that you're probably going to have to worry too much about. These watches range in price. So the 36mm with diamonds is $2,800. Then the 43mm versions of these watches in steel are $3,300 to right around that 3,000 mark. The green and titanium is $4,200, and then the limited edition is $4,350 US. So you're looking at a very, very I'd say affordable dive watch, and especially this isn't something that you're probably going to see on too many people's wrists, so it's a little bit more unique, and it's nice that they're kind of referencing back to a watch that they had produced previously. I really love it. I really love Tag Heuer. I have a history with the brand, especially with kind of my own personal watch story. So a fairly cool watch. The other watch I wanted to talk about was, like I said, the Tag Heuer Carrera Porsche Chronograph that they released this year. This is, if I'm completely honest, it's a fairly standard Carrera that was released by Tag Heuer. It's a Carrera chronograph running off of the Heuer 02 in-house movement. You have these elements of red on the dial and the bezel, and also on the crown that really kind of pop out. And then obviously you have the name Porsche on the bezel of the watch as well, which obviously shows the collaboration between these two companies. For me, it's a fairly standard Carrera, nothing too crazy. I do think Tag Heuer and Porsche have had a relationship for many years, and they've produced things in collaboration with one another, and so it's only fitting that they continue that sort of tradition. It is kind of nice that they use the Heuer 02, which is their second in-house movement that they produced. It's kind of since Jean-Claude Bivet, when he took over, they sort of moved to creating those types of things, like their own tourbillon and stuff like that. But like I said, it's fairly simple. It is a special edition, so I guess it's something that's going to be a little bit harder to not get a hold of necessarily, but it is a special edition watch that they are producing. The watch itself is fairly large. It's 44 millimeters in diameter, so a very large watch. Racing watches typically are a little bit larger, but you can imagine that a lot of people are probably asking for a smaller version of this watch, and who knows, maybe that's something that is kind of in the works. I guess the biggest connection to the racing world that this watch has is the dial, which is kind of this gray asphalty texture. So you are getting something that at least has some sort of connection with the racing world. The watch itself is fairly affordable and actually cheaper than the racing chrono that they've produced previously. You can get this on a leather strap for $5,850 and on a bracelet for just over $6,000. So again, a fairly affordable chronograph when you really think about it, and I'm sure that the secondhand market is also going to be fairly attractive for people who are looking to get one of these watches. So a cool watch, but nothing is kind of as new and fresh and really crazy like the Aquaracer. which one of the watches that I really like. I really like the Tribute. It has that vintage flair to it, so obviously I'm gonna like that one. But I also like the green dial. It's a new start to the kind of watch collecting and new watch world. So it's nice to see that kind of come through. There were some other things that they released around the same time, like their Tag Heuer Carrera Heuer 02 had a tourbillon. The tourbillon version had a new blue dial that they released, which I thought was kind of cool. Yeah, I think that the Tribute to the 844 is definitely one of my favorites. If you haven't seen some of our other Watches and Wonders coverage, we've created a playlist where we have covered many of the other brands: Rolex, Tudor, Breitling, who I think really had the standout show this year, as well as some other brands like Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet. We covered the Black Panther watch. Be sure to check out those videos. There is a playlist, but I'm sure that they are also in your suggested videos, so you can check those out as well. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Life from the Wrist family. We'd love to have you here. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these watches you really enjoyed the most. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for us, it really would help us out to make sure that these videos get to more watch enthusiasts who would be interested to hear about watches from Life from the Wrist. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.